Neal-Bullen snapped at goal. Punt rode in, sails on through.
4 games in the AFL in 2016, then broke out last year and has cemented himself in this side.
Hello again, welcome to Inside Melbourne with thanks to Zurich. Clint Stanaway with you. Caty Price also back in the chair. G'day, Caty.
Nice to be back after a week off.
Yeah, player takeover round. How did you rate the effort of Dom Tyson and Angus Brayshaw?
Oh, the boys would be talking it up, no doubt. But no, they went pretty well.
They are talking it up. Can I just read you a text chain from Angus Brayshaw?
Oh, here we go.
I said, how did you go? Angus, you're out of a job. I nailed it. I said, good lad. He goes, got a few good jokes away. I said, crisp, just listen, pretty good. Again, you and Caty might be out of a job. I said, how about the third person material? Did you hear that? He was just talking about himself. Angus Brayshaw this, Angus Brayshaw that.
Well, it's Gus. Come on.
And he
We're
goes,
used to that, aren't we?
goes, yeah, it was pretty good stuff, wasn't it? Well, talk about rating yourself.
Not short on confidence, that man.
Oh, no, he might be replacing us at some time in the future. You never know. Hey, we've got a great special guest here on Inside Melbourne this morning. Do you want to do the honours, Caty?
We certainly do, don't we? We've got Alex Neal-Bullen with us, Nibbler, as he's better known. Maybe we can start with that. Where's Nibbler come from?
Yeah, first of all, thanks for having me. I've heard a lot of good things about this podcast. Got a few followings back in South Australia as well, so
very good.
It's a privilege to be on it. And it all started back in Adelaide, one recess time. I was a bit short on the nicknames, and I guess we went searching for one, and we came up with Nibbler through, if you say my surname really quickly, in Neal-Bullen, if you keep going quicker and quicker, it mumbles out nibbles, and we thought we'd just chuck a bit of a lat at the end of it, so Nibbler, and it kind of sounds all right.
Oh,
so
right.
We've gone from there.
So it's made its way all the way from, junior school in Adelaide?
It was, early high school, and it's crossed the border, and now, I've carried it with me throughout.
I don't mind it. I think it's a good nickname. Nibbler, how do you rate the performance of you and your teammates at the weekend? I mean, sitting back and watching from the stands, it's a nice place to be, watching the D's win by 96 points. Yeah,
it was definitely convincing. I guess we set it up well in the first quarter. One of those things was we set out to make sure at quarter time we had our best quarter, and I think we did that. And from there, I guess we felt like we were in control of the game. There's still certain areas that we felt like we could have done a little bit better, but overall a really good win, and already looking forward to this Sunday afternoon against the Swannies in a huge game.
How difficult is it when you're approaching a game like that? Obviously, the Suns have put in some reasonable efforts here and there, but to not drop away with those efforts and to come out the way that you did.
It's a good question, because we touched on how the week they've had as a footy club is probably one of the biggest they've had in their whole history of their involvement in the AFL. So we knew that they'd come out hot, and they brought a lot of good pressure early on. And probably, to be honest, throughout the whole game, their pressure maintained at a high level. So, we knew we had to really bring our A game early, and that we did. And then from there, I guess, a young side, they're always going to be having a go in Gold Coast, but we just kept chipping away at it, and we eventually broke them apart, which is a good result for the footy club.
Just fell short of raising the bat, 96-point win. Were you a bit...
Fritter, Bailey. He's just got to know those clutch moments.
It's the moment you always dream of. Put your team up by 100 points after the siren.
I know.
I want to ask you about a few players. One in particular, Aaron Vandenberg, first match back. How was he before the match and then after the match? Obviously, it's a huge moment for him.
Yeah, it was huge, and it was really special running out there with him, hearing the crowd applaud him even when he ran on for the first time. So he's a really cool, calm and collected bloke. He didn't want it to be about him at all, but I guess the significance of the injury that he had, and a lot of people don't know the hardship he's been through over the 200 days or however long it was since he played, and for him to come out, play a really good role in his pressure, and also being able to play that small role as well as being the big bloke out there. So it wouldn't surprise me if we see him throughout the whole year, and he's a huge asset for the team going forward.
It's a great story.
Yeah, it certainly is. That was obviously one of the positives. On the downside, losing Joel Smith, and he's had to go in for surgery. Have you seen him since, and how he's pulled up?
I sent him a text. He was in good spirits. He he's pretty confident he'll be able to come back within a few weeks. I still don't know if he was on the whistle when he said that, but yeah, I think he should be fine.
It makes it pretty tough, doesn't it? I mean, your defensive stocks have been really well and truly tested. Obviously, Michael Hibberd coming back, it sounds like, in another week, which will be good.
Yeah. It's one of those things. It's funny how quick it can change. So probably six weeks ago, we were actually sitting very well on the injury list front of things, but how quick it can change. It tests your depth, and I feel like we're doing a really good job of replacing people week to week at the moment. And again, it'll be another test. I'm not too sure where they'll go with the replacement, but whoever does come in, you've definitely got a lot of confidence in them.
Hey, up forward, Nibbler, Jeffy Garlett, since he's come back from the VFL, he's doing some sensational things at the moment. How have you rated his output right now?
He's a star. How as a mature age player, going through that, I feel like would be a huge challenge.
Yeah.
And for him to be able to come in straight away since his spell in the VFL and really have an impact, not so much kicking goals. I don't think a lot of people probably base forward line people's games on how many goals they kick and what they do with the footy, but it's the stuff you don't see probably on the TV, his pressure acts, his chase from behind, which allows our defenders to take good position and impact in the air. So it's probably more of those things that he's really driven his game on, and now he's starting to see some real reward later on in the year.
And the other one up there, Jesse Hogan, he had a good day out.
General.
He had a good day out as well, and he played like a general, didn't he? At the G. I mean, yeah, sure. People are going to sit back and go, it was Gold Coast. You know, they've won a handful of games this year, but he did what he had to do. Yeah. And he's been doing that now for a few weeks. You said you're at the game, so you would have seen that contest he had. Deep down the forward line, and he set Harmsy up with a goal. That's exactly
the stuff he's doing as well as kicking bags, as he does very well. It's that stuff you see as well that really, I guess, lift everyone around him and make sure that he's having that presence, not only kicking goals, but tackling contests, 2v1s, he's winning. So yeah, it's a huge confidence booster for us as a forward line, and we've got to keep that going in the big games now.
What about your own form? Because obviously the first couple of years probably a little inconsistent, but now, I mean, you're a real mainstay in the side. I think every game this season you played?
Yep, every game so far.
Yeah. How have you rated your year?
Yeah, it's been good. It's been challenging at times. I probably don't remember having as many ups and downs in a year as the team, but I think that's kind of built us to be a really solid and united group. Individually, I guess it's... I'm happy with how I'm going. I don't really necessarily like to individually recap on how I'm going personally, but it's been good to be able to fit in a position where the coach Simon really rates my work rate, my pressure, and I guess that's all I bring to the team, or all I need to bring to the team. And then if I'm kicking a couple of goals or getting on the end of a few, that's just the bonus. So it's really clear for me what I need to do, and I really enjoy working with Goody.
Just on that, Alex, because I read a piece that you wrote for the AFL Players Association, the Players' Voice. I just want to read it for our listeners. On your relationship with Goody, you said, he told me I was good enough to make it and he wanted to see it consistently. You hear a lot about those penny drop moments, and that was mine. Ever since that conversation, I had the belief that Goody would always back me. That was the push I needed. So when did that moment come, and what's that realisation like as a footballer?
Yeah, it's one every young footballer needs in a way. Mine came at the end of my second year. So in my first year, your first year goes that quick, you play a few games and any game's a bonus. Your second year is the reality where you come in, you're hoping to play a few games, and I had a bit of a standstill. I only played 4 games, was in and out of the team each week. And the handover of coaches, always had a really good relationship with Goody. And I was confident that he'd back me in, but to actually hear it from the horse's mouth, at my exit meeting, he just said, "You've got a lot to offer. I'm going to back you in as long as you're willing to do the work." And for someone, a young fella, to hear that, I was 19, 20 at the time, unsure about where I sat within the footy club. I walked out the next day confident that I was a part of this footy club going forward, and I made sure in that break, the 8 weeks I had off, I did everything to put myself in a position that Goody couldn't pick me or didn't trust me. And I always knew he would back me in if I could prove to him that I backed him in. So I've got a lot of respect for Goody, and I love working with him. And I guess it's something that's built from day one.
You mentioned bringing the pressure acts, obviously, but the other thing is the aerobic capacity for yourself. I think you clocked over 17 Ks earlier in the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've obviously had that background coming through as a junior with athletics.
Yeah. So
Tell us about that.
I did a bit of that athletics early on, I guess, when I was from 9 years old through to about 14. And I just started off doing the little athletics and realised I had a bit of an engine. Did a few state representatives of the 800 and 1500 and cross country. And also chuck in there, I was a speed walker.
Yeah, I read that. A race walker.
Yeah, so that's probably my biggest achievement so far, including footy.
Yeah.
How did you get into race
I actually don't know. Yeah, it was one night, Friday night down in Adelaide, Lou Athletics, and we had the walk for the first time. So there was the girls' race before us, and all us young 10-year-olds were checking out the girls, how they go about it, and you just used to see the hips move a lot, side to side. So I just went that hard, and I ended up crossing the line in first place. And
so what's the style like? Is it a bit like Kel Knight from Kath and Kim?
Yeah, very similar. Yeah, you just got to really work it in the hips, side to side, and just make sure you've got one foot on the ground at all times.
Sensational.
Yeah, I'm pretty proud of it. Yeah.
Hey, can I just take you back to Sunday afternoon? Also, for our listeners here on Inside Melbourne, you can actually watch us on YouTube, and we might get a clip of this to correspond to what I'm about to ask you about, and that is Christian Petracca and about how much love that man has to give.
Yes.
It's extraordinary. The club posted a clip on social media recently. I think I don't know what it is. What is this sort of chin type kiss with Angus Brayshaw?
Yeah, well, I didn't get the memo, so I would have loved to be a part of it. They kind of the Victorian boys, they stick together.
Oh, is that what it is? State of origin type thing.
Yeah.
So this is that what they're trying to do? Like kiss with their chins?
Yeah. Well, Gussie's chin was probably getting in the way of Christian, so that's probably a start. But I don't know. I was saying before off air, but I'll put it on air.
We love when that happens.
Christian comes from a lovely family, loving family.
He does.
He's a very loving person, and he's got a great personality about him. However, he's always got one eye on the camera.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It wouldn't. I'm not saying it did happen. I'm not saying it always happens, but I wouldn't surprise me if he had one eye on the big screen on Sunday Arvo when he was carrying on. But no, he's a ripper. He's a bloke that gets everyone up and about, especially when we're going through challenging times as a footy club, and that's what we do love about him.
And that's the point right there, isn't it? The fact that you're such a tight playing group.
Yeah. And in saying that, you have a lot of joking around about the South Australia, Victorian, but that's the best thing about footy is everyone comes from everywhere around Australia, and we're all around the same age as well. So having that ability to become close with everyone, not only if you're a 30-year-old or a 20-year-old, you just really enjoy these moments as you go through your footy career.
Looking ahead at the next 3 weeks, it is massive. Sydney, West Coast, GWS. Looking at the Swans straight up, they've found some pretty good form as well. Yeah,
and it's exciting. We're all absolutely pumped to be a part of these next 3 weeks. And the best thing for us is we're in the position to. It's on us. If we bring our best footy every week, there's no reason we can't achieve what we want to achieve. And that's the most exciting thing. It's not like we've got to rely on other results. It's purely up to what we can do, and if we do that, we understand where it can take us later on in the year. So this weekend's going to be a huge game, and I really enjoy playing Sydney because they're that contested team. They play a similar brand to us in a way, and we know that we got to stand up in these big games, and I don't think we'll be more ready.
Who gets a job on Buddy then?
I'll put my hand up.
Yeah, have you?
I don't think Goody will go with me. I think
good run with Rob.
Oh, he said he'd back you in.
I'd like to see Frosty go.
Yeah, I thought Frosty personally
might be. Yeah, he's just got that speed, that intensity, and also I feel like he'd be able to work off him really well. But there's obviously a few people. Oscar's another one that they'll throw around, but I'm actually not too sure. Yeah.
Caty mentioned before the assignment, the 3 tough matches. I mean, how much do you... I mean, we as supporters probably think about what happened last year a bit, but, I mean, I know it would have been front of mind in your thoughts maybe in the pre-season, but how much do you think about that, and how much does it actually burn?
Yeah, I've still got that feeling in my gut. I'll never forget that night after we found out that we weren't going to be part of the final series. You get this feeling in your gut, and it's still there. I can still... You can still sense it right now, and it's one of those things you use in tight games. You draw back to it. Even when we were playing in Adelaide the other week, I remember late in that last quarter, you just know how much you want to get through it, and you want to make sure you give your best foot forward. Because at the end of the day, if you don't achieve what you want to achieve, you can almost see the year as a failure, and that's something that you don't want to go through again, because it sticks with you. Like you said, it sticks with you through the whole pre-season, and even to date, it's one of those things where you got to make sure that you can't let yourself get in those situations.
Yeah, it is enormously tough, isn't it? Obviously, you'd like to win all three, but it is, Clint, that as supporters, I think you look ahead and you're like, oh no, can't come to round 23 again, surely.
No, we want to stitch it up now.
Yeah.
Stitch it up now and then go over to Perth and try and stay in that top 4.
Yeah.
Hey, Alex Neal-Bullen is our special guest here on Inside Melbourne with Thanks to Zurich. We're going to come back and ask Alex about all things family and what you do off the footy field with Thanks to Zurich.
Welcome back to Inside Melbourne. We're here thanks to Zurich. We've got Alex Neal-Bullen with us today, Clint Stanaway, of course, in the co-host chair. Alex, a question thanks to Zurich. What do you truly love?
What do I truly love? I really love my bike.
Your bike?
Yeah, my bike. I love getting on my bike.
What type of bike?
Just your normal, not racer, but yeah.
Road bike?
Road bike without the all the fancy gears. It's a great way to beat traffic.
Yeah, okay.
And I grew up on one.
Do you do the lycra thing?
Nah, not yet. I reckon I'll be one of the 50-year-old lycra, man, in the bike lane.
That's good.
Making sure all the cars are polite.
It's good therapy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Jumping on the bike.
I like getting out there, especially around Melbourne with all the traffic and that. I find it's a really good way to pass through, go down the back streets and a bit of fresh air through the ears.
Do you have red and blue spokey dokes?
Not yet.
No? Okay.
Work. That's a work.
Work in progress. We're going to ask you some questions from the outer. We've got some absolute beauties this week.
Yeah.
But first, I mentioned family on the other side of the break. Your grandmother. I want to ask you about Cheryl.
Yeah.
And about the influence she's had on your career. She was a jockey.
Yes, in Queensland, yeah.
In Queensland. And then she came off her horse in a race fall and became a paraplegic. Is that right?
Yeah, so she was one of Australia's first women jockeys to race against men. And she was very successful in her time, but she had a bad fall and she was in a coma for 8 months, I think, in total. So, yeah, it's a family story that I probably haven't realised until I was probably 11 to 12 years old, when it really you understand the impact it's had on my family and that. And my mum, being an only child, had to go through that by herself. So, yeah, as I've got older, and especially this sporting career that I've gone down, has really helped me understand the hardship that's caused. And we actually had an article in the Herald Sun about Cheryl and I, and growing up, and what Cheryl achieved as in her sporting career. And she actually got, through that article, she got in contact with one of her trainers back in the day from Queensland, and that's 30 years of history there. And through that article, they've been able to reconnect and talk a lot of stories about back in the day. So that's something I'm really proud of, being able to give her the opportunity to seek through those stories.
Did I read in that article she calls you Elvis?
Yes.
Well, what's all that about?
I've actually never really asked her. I'm a bit scared to ask her. I think it's more. I think he's a January baby and I'm a January baby.
Oh, okay.
And I've got the good looks and he's got the good looks.
Oh, righto, mate.
So I think that's somewhere where it's come
Angus
from.
Brayshaw Mark II here.
In terms of the sporting side with her, I mean, you mentioned what she was able to achieve on the racetrack, racing against men, but also she was the first woman to beat men in Melbourne.
Yeah, I know, and it's something, this day and age, if that happened now, it'd be huge. And she deserves all the credit that she probably hasn't got. In saying that, it's something that she's very modest. She doesn't like the centre of attention. She's happy with what she's done, but she's more proud of what her daughter and her grandkids are achieving.
So she loves watching you play footy?
Yeah, well, it was her first game she's ever seen in round 2 this year when we played Brisbane, and she was there. And yeah, it was something. I'm probably one of the proudest moments in footy that I've had is knowing that Grandma, who grew up with NRL in Queensland, never really knew. She calls AFL cross-country football. So she doesn't really understand it, but she is getting better. And every time we're on Channel 7, she streams on 7/2, I think it is, in Queensland. So yeah, she's loving what the D's are doing this year.
And she's had a big influence on your study as well.
Yeah, so I had a year out of school before I got drafted, and I went down the path of special education studies. And obviously, Cheryl lives in a wheelchair, so she's restricted in a lot of things she can do, and that definitely impacted my decision on what I wanted to do post school, now post footy, is something along the lines of helping children with a disability, or it can be a learning difficulty or a physical disability. So yeah, that's something that I'm really interested in and very passionate about.
A few questions from the outer. We're with Alex Neal-Bullen on Inside Melbourne with thanks to Zurich. I want to start with Suzanne. Suzanne's from the Demon Army, I believe. She asks, I know that Mum is a very passionate supporter. Do you ever tell her she needs to settle down?
Yes, Mum is very passionate. I love the support she gives to me, Shazza. She goes down to the D Army most weekends when she's down here. And she's very passionate, very supportive, and I'm very grateful to have her as my #1 fan.
Matt Leary asks, heard you don't mind the odd sledge. What's your personal favourite, or maybe what's the best that you've received? Received or given?
I probably receive more now than I give out. I had one earlier this year when we played the Western Bulldogs, and their captain came walking off the ground, congratulating, good game, and he comes up to me and goes, good game, mate, you're having a ripping first year. I don't know if he's serious, and I think he was genuine, but he thought it was my first year, and this is my 4th year, going on 4 years.
Don't mind it. Hey, Peter Franks asks, this is pertinent to all things goal kicking. Why is your gob always open when you're having a shot for goal like you're gasping for air?
Because I'm gasping for air. Yeah, I've got a lot of feedback on my facial expressions, and it's something I'm not very good at hiding. If I am tired, I will show that I'm tired. And
as long as you go back and kick the goal.
It's my way of recovering, yeah.
Yeah, very good.
A couple of quick fire ones I reckon we do here.
Go.
Fun, big issues here on Inside Melbourne.
Yeah.
Charlotte, tomato sauce in the fridge or the pantry?
We'll go fridge.
Fridge?
I had to think about that.
Please.
Oh, controversial. Righto. Amber,
It's wrong.
banana and honey or peanut butter and jam?
Banana and honey all the way.
Wow.
What, you don't agree?
Nah, peanut butter and
Wow.
jam for me. And yeah, pantry.
Totally a pantry kind of guy. Hey, Nibbler, when you were growing up in South Australia, what was it like for Alex Neal-Bullen growing up in SA? Glenelg boy, is that right?
Glenelg boy, yeah.
Yeah, and who did you sort of admire? Who did you love watching as a young footy fan?
I was a big Lenny Hayes fan.
Were you?
From the Standards, yeah. I just loved how he went about his footy.
Yep.
Knew what you'd get from him each week, and was not spectacular, but gave his all every week. So he was my #1 player growing up.
You mentioned the collection of South Australians in the club.
Yeah.
So what's it like? Is there a sort of like a friendly rivalry, banter? I mean, the coaches won. You got Bernard, who's just leading the way out in front.
Yeah.
I mean, how does it all work?
Yeah, well, coming in early days, Bernie really showed me the way with these Victorians.
Yes.
You've got to be polite, but also stern with them.
Yes.
You got to pretend that you're friends with them, but always know that
Just keep
the
them.
South Australians,
Yeah.
they've really got you back. But no, it's good fun. We do a lot of little games where it's Melbourne versus country, or the Allies as we call it. So yeah, it's a good little rivalry, and I'm glad I'm on the Allies end of it.
There you go, Katie.
Yeah. I'm one of the allies too, so I'll claim it. Charlotte asks, what is the best prank that you've pulled on someone? Because you don't mind them, do you?
Great question, Charlotte. I used to live with Billy Stretch, and
Good mate of yours, yes?
Yeah. And I had one night where him and his girlfriend were up in their bedroom, and I put the Bluetooth speaker just outside their door, and on YouTube through it, I did a window knocking, and it came to the point where Billy got up out of bed, didn't know what to do, so he was about to call the cops because he was that scared. And yeah, it was a very, very personal time for Billy. I think he didn't sleep too well that night. Yeah.
Prankster.
Don't mind it. Yeah.
Don't mind it. Okay. And how's the living situation at the moment? You're nestled in with the GF, are you?
Yeah, with the GF, Georgie. Yeah,
very good.
She's come across from Adelaide, so happy days there.
22, might be time to pop the question at some stage.
I'm not in those areas just
Coming
yet.
from like the ultimate bachelor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can say these type of things. A few more questions here from the ad. We've got some absolute rippers this week. I've asked you who you looked up to as a kid, but how does it feel playing with this group of guys? What does the MFC jumper mean to you, from Peter?
Good question. The biggest thing for me is I guess you got the blokes with the experience like Bernie Vince, say, and he's a bloke that will run out with you and he will back you to the hill no matter what. And then you've also got the younger boys, as in Charlie Spargo this year, who's shown he's an absolute weapon, and he's a similar wears his heart on his sleeve, and that's the confidence you get with the people you run out with wearing the jumper. You know exactly what you're going to get from them each week, and it doesn't matter if they're 20 years old or 30 years old. It's that camaraderie and that belief you got in each other. And I think that's something very powerful at this football club. So that's probably the biggest thing at the footy club at the moment, yeah.
Little 123 asks, what do you do pre-game or the night before to get ready for a game?
Pre-game, I'm a huge listener of Eminem before a game.
Oh.
Eminem,
Driving
wow.
into the G. Love cranking that.
You don't ride your bike to the G on a match day?
Nah, not yet.
Too many risks?
Yeah, probably wait till I get the Lycra. You hook me up there, Clint. I'm sure you got some contacts.
Yeah, I've got a few. Got a couple.
We'll go for a ride together.
We'll go for a ride down Beach Road.
Yeah.
It's good down there. And then you stop in down at Morty Alec for a coffee.
Coffee, yeah. Strong latte, almond latte. You'd be an almond latte.
No, I'm not an almond. No, definitely not.
Latte.
Don't know where you get that sort of stereotype from, but just a flat white man. Just keep it simple. Keep it simple, Katie. You got some more there? I want to take it away from me now. Don't like the spotlight. Don't like when the questions come back the other way.
If anyone loves the spotlight, it's Clint Stanaway.
Right.
James Lynch says, if Viney or Jones didn't captain the club, who do you think would be next in line? Good question.
Great question. I would say Big Maxi Gawn. He's a good leader on and off the field.
He's a great leader, and he's he's firming in Brownlow betting. He's coming like an absolute steam train.
What do you reckon?
Well, none of us at this table are at a bet on football, of course.
Yeah,
But if I was able to bet on football, why not? I'd probably whack a 50 on him. But he's having a sensational year. What's it like to have Maxi out there?
Yeah, he's just got this presence about him.
He does, doesn't he?
Yeah, there's something special about how he plays his footy as well. He gets targeted a lot by the opposition, but that just fuels him up even more, and that's what I love about him. Doesn't matter who's revving him up, he's always up for the challenge. So, and
then off the field, I mean, he's sort of the kind of bloke expecting unexpected.
Yeah,
from Maxi. He's just, I mean, it goes beyond weird cat now. What about his some of that acting in the Google ads and the rest?
Yeah,
it's extraordinary stuff.
Oh, he's phenomenal.
Like,
even that the Mercury one. Have you seen that?
Oh, yeah, I have seen that. Yeah. Like
kitchen.
The endorsements this year. We should do an inquiry into this, because he has just gone from zero to hero in terms of endorsements.
Oh yeah.
How much free stuff is he getting?
Oh, so much. Every day he walks in with a new kit or free gear every week. Maybe he's the bloke we should go for the Lycra.
Yeah.
That's a lot of Lycra.
Bike as well, yeah.
William JL asked, do you rate your hair as better than Bailey Fritsch?
No, Fritter's got an absolute mop on him. I would love Fritter's hair. We don't really compare. I'll get back to you on that one.
Yeah.
Maybe when have Fritter been in here yet?
Yes, he has. Yep.
Okay, we'll postpone that reply.
All right.
You mentioned your athletics as a kid. Why did you choose footy and not athletics? This one from Bonnie.
Oh, I really enjoyed the team aspect of footy.
Yeah.
Being able to run out there with your mates.
Very good. And usual breakfast spot from Just Alex, or what is your usual breakfast? But while I'm at it, favourite cafe. You look like a cafe man.
Yeah, I don't mind getting down to a cafe down Camberwell there. There's a few I probably like. This one called Rex, just on Burt Road there. Great coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Good area.
All right. Who has the worst habit at the club? Campbell,
Worst
678.
habit. Probably my locker mate, Jaden Hunt, brings about 5 different pairs of clothes each day to training, and somehow they make their way over to my area of the locker, so I'm constantly cleaning up his...
Neat freak?
No, not a neat freak, just like it.
Just a freak.
Yeah, like to be able to walk into my locker. So probably Jaden.
Hey, I've just got one more myself from Lucas Declan. He says, where does Nibbler get his hair cut? Heard his barber and him are working on a new hairstyle.
Great. What's his name? Lucas Declan.
Yeah.
I have a feeling he knows the answer to that question.
Right.
Yeah, down Camberwell, got a mate of mine, Paulie. He helps me out a bit, but we're not working anything. I've had the same haircut since I was 14 years old. So
good stuff, Elvis. Well done. We might have to wrap it up because, hey, by the way, Sydney this weekend.
Yeah.
We've already touched on the importance of the match from the perspective of getting the 4 points, but it's also going to be a highly emotional weekend. It is the Field of Women match. By way of background, it's for BCNA, the Breast Cancer Network of Australia. Some 18,235 Australians are diagnosed with breast cancer each and every year here in Australia. And before the match, I think about 11:30, that iconic Field of Women, the Pink Lady, will assemble on the MCG. It's always a really touching moment, a stirring moment. Katie?
Yeah, as you mentioned, it is such an iconic image and, a stirring image that you mentioned. And also important to note that it's not only women that are affected, but also men. So it is always so wonderful to see the guys get down there and get involved as well. So wonderful to see, and hopefully it gets a lot of support. Yeah,
absolutely. The clan coming over from South Australia for the match.
Mum and Dad will be over here.
Yeah.
Looking forward to the big game. Yeah, I can't wait.
Are they Inside Melbourne listeners, or will they be?
I think they would. Good. They like following every bit of Melbourne as they can.
And tell your grandmother to do the same. She'd enjoy the chat we've had about her today. Hey, thanks so much, Nibbler. Before we go, we actually had a competition running online on Facebook to win a jumper. The question was, how many goals did you, Alex Neal-Bullen, kick in your second game in the red and blue? Can you remember?
Yes, for 3.
Who was it against?
The Cats at the Cattery.
And it was a win.
A big win, yeah.
A very good win. Is that one of the better wins you've been a part of?
Definitely, yeah. Even going back down there the other week reminded me of how big that win was, yeah.
So the winner of the signed Melbourne jumper, with thanks to Zurich, Nicholas Farr-Jones. So congratulations to Nick. Please get in touch with the team via social media, Facebook, Twitter or Instagram. We'll get that jumper sent out to you. Thanks for the entries. So if you missed out last week, of course, keep your eye out on our Facebook page for more giveaways in the near future. We'll also announce who our special guest is next week. Business end of the season, Katie.
Yeah, and our fans have been so good, haven't they? All these questions from the outer. It's absolutely outstanding. A real following with Inside Melbourne, so great to see.
Good stuff, Alex. Good luck this week against the Swans. Can't wait to see you out there. Well done on everything you've achieved so far this year. That is it from the team at Inside Melbourne. With thanks to Zurich, we'll see you next week.